This program has been made possible by Weatherby Asset Management. The views and opinions expressed are those of the guest.
Well, good morning. Welcome to this edition of Wealth Psychology at Sylvia Global Media. I'm your host, Emily Bouchard, and I am coming to you from Northern California. My partner and co-host, Jamie Traeger-Muni, is recovering from 8 months of treatment for breast cancer, and we're looking forward to having her come back after her hiatus. She's doing great in Israel. And today we are really excited. We have an amazing guest. So glad he's here from another international country, from Canada. We have Dr. Tom Deans, author of the all-time best-selling family business book, Every Family's Business, and also a newer book called Willing Wisdom. We're here to talk about that book in particular, on wills and why we don't have them and why we need them. And just a little bit about Tom. He does speaking engagements and international lectures all over 500 conventions and seminars. He speaks about the whole concept of family and money, and he says that family has emerged as the greatest economic driver of all time, but the question remains, how can wealth be transferred successfully without destroying the recipient and the wealth itself, which is, of course, why we're having this conversation. Here at Wealth Psychology at Sylvia Global Media, we are all about shifting our relationship to money and wealth so that people can live and lead truly rich lives, no matter how much money is in their bank accounts, and where their families can stay unified and connected, and that those arguments around money don't tear people apart. So we are going to have a great conversation with Dr. Deans. He's a distinguished career in banking. He was a CEO of a multinational corporation for a decade, president of a railway, and chairman of his local hospital foundation. He's been featured in numerous magazines and on other shows a little bit all over. So, Tom, welcome to the show. We're going to be talking about your book, Willing Wisdom. Can you tell us why you wrote this book? We're going to start off with that. What was your passion about writing Willing Wisdom, and why did you do this?
Well, first of all, Emily, what a pleasure to be here. And just to let your viewers know, I'm in southern Canada. So it's not quite snowing, but it will be in about 8 weeks. So the sun is shining. Great to see you. And I got to tell you, I was so excited about doing this show because I know a little bit about you and about your organization, and I know that our messages are really, really in sync. Let's get started. I really wrote this book, like any author who writes a book, to convince myself of an idea, not my readers. And I always like to make that point very clear up front. I think when people are absolutely certain of something, they write tedious books. They write boring books or pretentious books. And I know you've read the book, and I know you can probably attest to it. It's not pretentious. It's accessible. Yeah. And I'm trying to convince myself of a simple edict, and that is that families who can talk about money, who can collaborate on their wills, will enrich and deepen their relationships. And so, you know, I'm 51 years old. I have a will, but my will is constantly evolving. So I'm trying to work through in my own space how it is that I'm going to transition the wealth that has been entrusted to me by my grandparents and my great-grandparents. So it's very much
I think a lot of successful people, that is one of the big questions that they have, that they live in, and they really don't know how. And I love how accessible your book is. It makes it so it's a very conversational exploration around what has people stay up at night, or what has people really wondering and pondering, you know, especially when they've shifted to more money management and next career after they've really been successful in building their career.
Yeah, I think you're right, Emily, and in as much as the book is Socratic, right? It has 7 questions. So alarmingly, it has no answers, but it has seven great questions that everyone can ask themselves and their family to start conversations, to probe and explore what is right for them. And I can tell you what's right for you and what's right for the viewers will be completely different than what's right for me. And I think that has where estate planning in many respects has gone off the rails. We've tried to develop products that kind of fit everyone, and it really lets families down. And I think it lets down financial institutions. So I'm coming at it very different, not preachy, not making assumptions, starting with some questions to get the family to gather around that proverbial campfire. I'm going to use that expression because I really mean that. Too often we think that family meetings have to take place in stuffy boardrooms. That was my experience growing up, and I don't think it has to be. I think families can get at this subject of wealth and aging and convalescing and ultimately dying in scenarios that are bless you. You've got one more.
Hopefully not. I think I'm all right. Thanks.
But I think we can have these conversations around the campfire. It doesn't have to be formal. And the best conversations are the ones that are truly partnerships in family. So it's not the person with the money who's old and dying, who's got the power and the control and dictates that this is the way it's going to be. I'm looking for something more democratic, something that's more accessible for the entire family to feel as partners. And it's that partnership that I think is going to lead, hopefully, most people to a great will, a great last chapter of their lives, because they're going to experience it with their family and their friends.
Well, that's a great place to do a little station identification. We're here at Wealth Psychology at Sylvia Global Media. We're talking with Dr. Tom Deans, author of this great book, Willing Wisdom. And we are going to launch into our next segment on what does it mean to be reciprocal in terms of how you have a conversation about wills, because that really struck me in your book.
Weatherby Asset Management is dedicated to providing exceptional wealth management services by forming partnerships built on trust, understanding, and thoughtful advice. For more than 20 years, they've been offering objective perspective, personalized planning, and sophisticated investment management to individual investors and families, as well as pension plans, foundations, and endowments. Contact them at www.weatherby.com. Weatherby Asset Management, located in San Francisco and New York City.